The second reason we didn't feel poor was that the income inequality was not as vast, as significant in the 70s and up until 1983-ish. It wasn't as bad as it is now. What we're living in now, I would categorize as Tale of Two Cities-esque. In fact, it's worse than 18th century France. In 18th century France, according to Tale of Two Cities, and I'll just do a little bit of the preamble, the overlapping is astonishing. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. Check. It was the age of wisdom, it was the age of foolishness. Big check. It was the epoch of belief, it was the epoch of incredulity. But I could keep going, but at no point did Dickens say, also, 3 or 4 times a week, there was a show called Shark Tank. Even the 18th century French aristocrats never made their entrepreneurs dance for a small investment in their life's work. That is a cruelty that is just us. That show, I hate it. Please, if you have an idea, do not go on Shark Tank. There are places that offer much better terms than the Shark Tank sharks. I happen to have an accounting and finance degree from Boston College. It's no Harvard was our motto. Right? It sounds much nicer in Latin. Okay, so here's a place where you can get better terms than the Shark Tank sharks, and this is where you should take it. A bank. They make reasonable investments in small businesses. You know who else offers better terms than the Shark Tank sharks? The devil. He'll take your soul. He will not take as much of your annual net income as the Shark Tank sharks. Also, Mr. Gazzo from Rocky I, the loan shark. He offers better terms than the Shark Tank sharks. Do not go on Shark Tank. I want to start a show to counter-program against Shark Tank, and I would call it Guillotine. And what would happen on Guillotine is billionaires would sit in front of working class folks like ourselves, and they would have to convince us not to chop their heads off on live television. How much of it are you going to give away? Some of it? No, that's not enough. That's not enough. Bring the blade up. You're going to give all of it away? Okay, all right, no blade. The income inequality is just, it's cartoonish. Even in my business, just the difference between me and, do you remember the guy who played Jerry on Seinfeld? Okay. He's in the same business, ostensibly, as I am. But he is worth over $1 billion. And now let's say he's a better comedian, for argument's sake, but then we'll come back to this universe. Can you imagine? Is he $999,911,000 better than me? And now you know my net worth. about $89,000 if you consider my security deposit to be an asset. The accounting is murky on that. I'm probably not going to get the entire security because I had dogs, and so. Here's the thing, Jerry Seinfeld, okay, he owns a building in Manhattan where he houses his extensive Porsche collection, okay? My wife and I, we don't have enough room on our kitchen counter to keep the toaster on display at all times. And here's what's beautiful about this audience. You're so generous. You are all picturing a 4-slicer. My wife and I had to have an apartment-wide meeting in which we determined that we needed to keep the microwave oven on the counter because you can't take it out every time you want popcorn. And we had to keep the coffee machine on the counter at all times because I want no delay in getting to the machine that makes the beverage that makes life tolerable. So she said we should put the blender and the toaster in a cabinet. I'm sorry, the cabinet. And so why am I bitter? Because I can't imagine that the Seinfelds have to rank their appliances. That's why I'm jealous.